It was a quiet Thursday morning, the kind of morning where the world outside the window seems perfectly still, as though time itself was waiting for something to happen. The golden light of dawn slipped through the curtains, brushing across the kitchen counters and filling the room with a gentle warmth. I stood at the sink, washing the last of the breakfast dishes, my thoughts drifting to the suitcase Daniel had carried out just hours before. My husband had left early for a business trip, another conference that demanded his time, his presence, his energy. He promised me it would only be for 3 days, that he would call every night, and that we would make up for the lost time when he returned. I believed him, because that was the kind of man Daniel was: steady, reliable, and deeply committed. He had always been the safe harbor in my sometimes restless heart. Still, the silence he left behind was heavy. The house felt too big without him. His laughter wasn't echoing down the hallways. His footsteps weren't crossing the wooden floor. I tried to distract myself by tidying up, but every corner of the house seemed to whisper his absence. By late afternoon, I found myself curled on the sofa with a book in my lap, though I hadn't read a single page. That's when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. My parents lived miles away, and my circle of friends was small. Opening the door, I was met with a familiar face, Ryan. Ryan had been Daniel's best friend since their college days. Over the years, he had become a fixture in our lives. He was there when Daniel proposed, when we bought our first house, when life threw challenges at us. He wasn't just Daniel's friend, he had become mine too, in a way that felt safe, familiar, and comfortable. "Hey, Anna," he said, holding up a bag in one hand. "I know Daniel's away. I thought you might not feel like cooking tonight, so I brought some takeout." His thoughtfulness caught me off guard. "That's really sweet of you, Ryan. Come in." We set the food on the dining table, the aroma filling the air with comfort. Ryan was easy company. Usually, he carried a certain playful energy with him, always quick with a joke or a story. But tonight, there was something different about him. He seemed quieter, his eyes lingering on me a little longer than usual. We ate in silence at first, the sound of utensils clinking against plates filling the room. After a while, Ryan set his fork down and leaned back in his chair, his expression serious. "Anna," he began, his voice lower than usual, "I need to tell you something. And I know it might change everything, but I can't hold it in any longer." My stomach tightened. "Ryan, what is it?" He looked down, his hands tightening into fists. "I care about you. More than I should. I've tried to ignore it, to bury it, but being around you and Daniel all these years, it's been torture in ways I can't even explain. You're the kind of person who makes a room feel alive, who makes people feel seen. And he broke off, shaking his head. "I've fallen for you." His words slammed into me, leaving me stunned. "Ryan, my husband's best friend?" I could barely breathe. "Ryan," I whispered, "you can't say that. Do you realize what you're doing? You're putting me in an impossible position." "I know," he said quickly, his eyes filled with pain. "I know, and I hate myself for it. But Anna, I swear to you, I would never act on it. I would never betray Daniel like that. You're his wife. He's my brother in every way that matters. But the weight of keeping this to myself has been crushing me. I had to tell you just once, so that maybe I can find a way to move forward." The room fell silent. I stared at him, my heart pounding with shock, with confusion, with an ache I couldn't quite name. "Ryan, do you understand what this means?" I asked softly. "You've carried this for years?" He nodded. "Since the first year Daniel introduced us. I knew right away, but I buried it because loyalty mattered more than desire. And it still does. Nothing changes between us. Nothing needs to change. I just needed to be honest once, or I was going to lose my mind." I didn't know what to say. My emotions were a storm, anger that he would confess this, sadness for the torment he clearly felt, fear of what it might mean for Daniel, and even compassion. Because beneath it all, I saw a man who had been suffering in silence, torn between love and loyalty. "Ryan," I said gently, "I can't return those feelings. I love Daniel. He is my husband, my partner. Whatever you're feeling, it has to stay unspoken from here on out." "I know," he said, his voice breaking. "And I promise, I'll never let this come between us. Between me and Daniel, especially. He means too much to me." He stood, gathering his things, his face pale. I should go. I'm sorry for dumping this on you. Please don't tell Daniel. This is my burden, not his. I walked him to the door, still trying to catch my breath. Before he stepped out, he turned to me one last time. Anna, he loves you more than you'll ever realize. Hold on to that. Always. When the door closed behind him, I leaned against it, my hands trembling. Tears burned at the corners of my eyes. Not because I was tempted, not because I doubted my marriage, but because life had suddenly revealed how fragile and complicated the threads of love and friendship could be. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the empty side where Daniel usually slept. My heart ached with the weight of Ryan's words, and I wondered what it meant for the future. Would things ever be the same between us? Could they? The following days were filled with silence. Ryan didn't call, didn't stop by. It was as though he had vanished into his own world of healing. Daniel, meanwhile, called me each night from his trip, his voice full of warmth and love. I wanted to tell him everything, to confess what Ryan had revealed, but something held me back. Perhaps it was Ryan's plea, or perhaps it was the knowledge that telling Daniel would shatter their friendship forever. When Daniel finally returned home, his smile lit up the house like sunlight. He kissed my forehead, his arms wrapping around me as if he had been away for months. I clung to him tightly, tears spilling down my cheeks. Anna, he whispered, are you okay? You're crying. I just missed you, I said, burying my face in his shoulder. And it was true. I had missed him more than I could bear. Because in those few days, I realized how much I needed him, how much he was the center of my world. I never told Daniel about Ryan's confession, not because I wanted to hide anything, but because I believed protecting their bond was more important than easing my conscience. Ryan kept his promise, too. He never spoke of it again. He was at our gatherings, our celebrations, our quiet evenings, and he carried himself with the same loyalty he always had. But sometimes, when I caught his eyes across the room, I saw something there, a quiet acceptance, a silent goodbye to a dream he had never been allowed to live. And in those moments, I respected him for his restraint, for choosing loyalty over desire, friendship over destruction. What Ryan did that night was unthinkable, not because he confessed, but because he chose honesty when silence might have been easier. He chose to unburden himself while still honoring the boundaries of love and marriage. And in the quiet of my heart, I understood something I hadn't before. Love is not only tested by distance or by time.